Welcome to this explainer. I'm so glad you're here today because we're breaking down a topic that is just becoming incredibly urgent for all of us. We're going to look at the critical biological breakdown of exactly how extreme temperatures impact the human body, and honestly, more importantly, how you can survive them. We're talking about severe heat waves, and we've got a lot of fascinating and, frankly, life-saving science to get through today.
45 degrees Celsius. Think about that number for a second. When temperatures hit this mark, like we're seeing across India right now, the heat is absolutely no longer just a mere discomfort. We need to completely reframe how we look at the weather, because at 45 degrees, the heat transforms into a literal, deadly medical crisis.
Okay, let's dive into this. The reality is incredibly stark. Heat can quickly turn deadly. Right now, as we speak, hospitals are literally preparing massive tubs of ice for an influx of patients whose bodies are completely shutting down. It's a true biological countdown, and the clock starts ticking the very second you step outside.
So here's our clear roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll cover the 45-degree danger zone. Second, when thermoregulation fails. Third, the critical difference between heat exhaustion and stroke. Fourth, the climate and city factor. And finally, we'll equip you with a highly actionable peak heat checklist. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the 45-degree danger zone, and our biological baseline.
It all starts right here, at exactly 37 degrees Celsius. You see, your heart, your brain, your kidneys, every single vital organ in the human body functions at absolute maximum efficiency at this precise temperature. Your body is fundamentally designed to do literally whatever it takes to protect this baseline. But what happens when the environment fights back?
That brings us to Section 2, when thermoregulation fails and your cooling system crashes. Thermoregulation, it's your body's built-in AC unit, quietly working in the background. Now, when temperatures cross that 40 to 45 degree mark, your body goes into absolute overdrive. Your blood vessels expand and you begin to sweat aggressively so that the evaporation can pull heat away from your skin. But there's a massive cost to this, right? You are losing incredibly large amounts of water and vital salts, specifically sodium and potassium, which is exactly why you start feeling weak, dizzy, and just totally exhausted.
And this brings us to a really hidden, kind of terrifying danger pointed out by renowned cardiac surgeon Dr. Davy Shetty. Because your blood vessels have expanded to push blood to the skin to cool you down, your heart has to overwork. Combine that with extreme sweating, and your blood actually becomes thicker. Dr. Shetty warns that for anyone with pre-existing heart disease, high blood pressure, or diabetes, this thicker blood means a minor blockage can suddenly trigger a major heart attack. Heat doesn't just make you tired, it puts immense mechanical stress on your heart.
Which leads us directly to a vital medical distinction in Section 3, heat exhaustion versus stroke.
Let's compare these two states directly, because knowing this could literally save a life. On one hand, you have heat exhaustion. You're heavily sweating, thirsty, cramping, and maybe a bit nauseous. Your body is struggling, sure, but the cooling system is still running. Now, on the other hand, you have heat stroke. This is a 5-alarm medical emergency. The internal temperature breaches 105 degrees Fahrenheit. The brain and organs start taking actual damage, leading to confusion, seizures, or even a coma. But you know what the absolute cardinal sign is? The body completely stops sweating. Your cooling system is totally failed.
When a heat stroke patient arrives at the hospital, the medical response is extreme. Dr. Amlandu Yadav at Delhi's RML Hospital detailed their intense protocol for us. First, rapid diagnosis. Second, the patient is immediately plunged into a tub filled with up to 150 liters of water and a massive 50 kilograms of ice. Third, they need continuous second-by-second monitoring of their vitals, because patients in this state can easily slip into shock or suffer cardiac arrhythmias. It literally takes this level of extreme intervention just to prevent multiple organ failure. So, we really have to zoom out for a second and ask, why is this extreme threat becoming a daily reality?
Let's look at the bigger picture in Section 4, the climate and city factor.
These heat waves are now lingering for up to 10 days at a time without breaking. Why? Well, it's a perfect storm of macro factors. India's power grid recently hit a record-shattering peak demand of 270.8 gigawatts just trying to keep everyone's ACs running. We're seeing prolonged dry weather without the usual Western disturbances that bring rain. Plus, rampant concretization and the loss of green spaces have turned our cities into trapped urban heat islands. And of course, it's all being driven by the undeniable frequency and intensity of global climate change.
Now, while the government is monitoring this hazard, a senior rep from the National Disaster Management Authority noted something pretty sobering. They said, dealing with the heat wave is very much a matter of individual choice, if the people do not take care. Basically, that means survival ultimately comes down to your own personal preparedness. And that leads us directly to our final and most important focus today. Section 5. Your peak heat checklist. The golden rules for survival. Let's break down these golden rules and build up your personal defense. First off, strictly avoid direct sun between the peak hours of 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. Second, if you can, shift your workspaces into shaded areas. Third, absolutely never, under any circumstances, leave children, the elderly, or pets in parked cars, even for a minute. The temperatures inside can become fatal incredibly fast. And finally, remember Dr. Shetty's stark warning. If you feel chest or stomach discomfort, do not sit around trying home remedies. Go straight to the hospital. Your heart might be under attack.
Now, if you're forced to commute or work outdoors, your clothing becomes your armor. Always wear very loose clothes with excellent ventilation to allow that crucial sweat to actually evaporate. And actively use an umbrella. Seriously, creating your own personal shade to block direct sunlight is a totally non-negotiable defense to prevent your core temperature from spiking.
But here's a question that trips almost everyone up. How do you actually know if you are hydrated? Because if you've been sweating for hours, just chugging plain water simply isn't going to cut it.
Your body is leaking vital salts, so you have to replace them. Your hydration protocol needs to include an oral rehydration solution, or ORS, lemon with salt like nimbu pani, buttermilk, or coconut water. You've got to avoid alcohol entirely and really limit tea, coffee, and sugary drinks because they can actually make your dehydration worse. And Dr. Shetty shared a brilliantly simple test for this. Monitor your urine. If it's a dark yellow, you are severely dehydrated and need fluids immediately. If it looks more or less clear, you're safe and well hydrated.
Extreme heat isn't just a random fluke anymore, guys. It is our new reality. So I want to leave you with this. Will you be prepared when the biological countdown starts? I highly encourage you to review this peak heat checklist and share this explainer with the vulnerable loved ones in your life. Stay in the shade, keep those electrolytes balanced, and take care of your health. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.